There's a word in business that most entrepreneurs never get to. It's called momentum. And it's the hockey stick effect in the business. And the challenge is they get in grind mode and they stay there.
How do you just jump into that, though? Because to be able to turn a company around, you have to have some level of acumen. And
sometimes you've got to be crazy enough to go after your dumb ideas. I can recall back when I was, my kids were 9, 7, and 2. I was 10 years in doing M&A and fixing companies, and I was burnt out. And I wrote this down, there has to be more. And I took a 2-week vacation, and the 2 weeks became 2 years. Mm-hmm. And my family thought I lost my mind. They're like, what are you doing? I said, I wasn't super wealthy, but I was wealthy enough I never had to work again. Does that make sense? And so I knew there had to be more, and sure enough, that more showed up in the idea that why not create products to help small business owners?
welcome to the show, Bill.
Good to be on, man. How are you, brother?
Dude, so good. I'm so excited to have you on the show, man. We've been friends for so long. I love talking with you, hanging out with you, and finally get you in the hot seat.
Feeling is mutual, brother.
Yes,
Glad to be here today.
And what I love about Bill is he's one of those guys that is very well known, and anyone who does business at any real level knows Bill, but yet he is the guy, he's like, you're the Rainmaker.
Well, that's kind of where Rainmaker came from. So I started my career out of high school and college as a trader and then turnarounds. And my job was to come in quickly to either fix your company, close your company and sell the assets, or take it public. And I got deemed the Rainmaker because you had to make it rain. Mm-hmm. Without rain, you have drought. So pretty crazy how that worked out.
And how do you just jump into that, though? Because to be able to turn a company around, you have to have some level of acumen. And
I believe that everything starts with leadership, right? So when you start to look at the team and the process, number one, do they have a great product or service? Number two, do they have a team to back it up? Do they have the right systems in place? Do they have any marketing at all? Because I meet really smart people, but sometimes their systems suck. Or as they start to scale, most of my work was family office turnaround. So the family office would be the owner of the business, but the brother-in-law was running it.
Yes.
And so they couldn't fire him because there was all kinds of nepotism rights that flowed through from the sale of the business or the family trust, but a third party could do that. So I would come in and assess the situation and realize that, number one, that guy hated the family too, and he couldn't wait, or she couldn't wait to get out of there, and the family was ready to get rid of that person. So my job was to have a conversation with them and say, listen, we would love to give you a non-voting board seat, but in the public it'll be a board seat. Mm-hmm. We'd love to give you a compensation package that you and your family will be very good for a long time, but you need to go.
Yep.
And they'd be like, I hate these guys anyway. I can't wait to get out of here. But they could never hear it from each other.
Sure.
So crazy.
So why do you think, and most of the audience may not know you as well as I do, that people from billionaires and extremely successful business people to Donald Trump politicians to guys like me, girls, women running businesses, speakers, why does everybody get attracted to you? What is it that you bring to already successful people?
I think that for me, it's that you can't buy wisdom.
Yep.
Right? So you can earn it over time. And I think I've seen so much, and for me, I love to watch people win. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of times people come to me because they don't want someone that's going to make them feel good. They want the truth. They're tired of coaches telling them how they can be better, be this, be that. And so often it's not about them just being better. It's about understanding that to win in business, you have to get way outside your comfort zone. You got to start with a vision so big that it pulls you. And so when I get to work with entrepreneurs, I can really see between the lines quickly. It's almost like a doctor that's seen something over and over and over again. All of a sudden, I can see that quickly in business, and I can see the best in people, and I can pull it out of them. So whether it's coaching or helping, campaigns like Bobby Kennedy, or helping billionaires that have had exits, or startups, at the end of the day, so much of it starts with the fact that many times they need one person to see something they don't see in themselves.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times in companies, it's being able to have that outside set of eyes that can say, why isn't somebody using this software that you're paying $20,000 a month for? And you've been paying it for 10 or 12 months. Mm-hmm. And they don't even realize they're doing it. So often what people don't need is more, oh my God, you're great, you're incredible, you're fabulous. No, they need to hear the truth.
Yes.
And I think that's why a lot of entrepreneurs come to me, because I've had the ability to build great relationships over 20 years where I've never asked for anything. I've been the one that created value first, asked for nothing in return. And I think when individuals know if I'm calling them for something great, or I wouldn't call.
And look, as a personal friend and lover of you, that's true. I mean, we've been doing business in some form and fashion for 5, 6, 7
That's
years,
right.
and you've never asked for a thing.
Right.
And
so then when I do call, it's probably something that's really important.
Yeah.
And many times it's about what I think most people miss out on is they miss out on something called power partnerships. They can have a great product, have a great service, but there's a word in business that most entrepreneurs never get to. It's called momentum. And it's the hockey stick effect in the business. And the challenge is they get in grind mode and they stay there. Mm-hmm. And we find that the life cycles for most business owners are, number one, they live in a place called Busyville. You ever call them, they're busy, busy, busy. Where are you going? I don't know, but I'm busy. And then they go to the second stop is called Brokeville. Now they're busy and they're broke. And the third stop's the most expensive one. It's called Burnoutville. There's a great book called 3 Feet from Gold, right? Sharon Lecter, Greg Reed, and they talked about
very good friends.
being
I love them
right
both.
there at the precipice of the chance to have the biggest win ever, and they quit because they let negative people tell them, or broke people, if you guys want to make more money today, get rid of all your broke friends. And I don't mean your personal friends, I mean your business friends. Mm-hmm. Get around people that challenge you to become better. And so I believe that so often that they're so close to that big win, but they literally allow the negative anchors to slow them down. And sometimes you need a coach that's not there to be your friend or your buddy, but they're there to be the one that gives you the hard facts of what it takes to win.
Well, someone who truly loves you and cares about you will give you that advice.
That's right.
Even though it's
They
going to
will.
cause friction in the relationship.
That's right.
It's going to sting.
Yep.
It's going to make you feel different about the person giving
Yep.
it to you. That's the person who actually cares about you.
And the neat part about that is that if you really understand momentum, you only get there a few ways. You get there either through great marketing. I mean, if Oprah says she likes your book's going to sell like crazy. The second is that if these influencers get behind you, that's one thing. But the second is that your customers become raving fans. If you have a product or service where your customers are raving fans, all of a sudden it becomes a home run because they're telling that story over and over and over. And the third is you've got a mass media budget. So if you've got a mass media budget and you can get picked up and you got those expenses, but most small businesses don't have that mass media budget. So if they will simply invest in relationships, I think the secret that most entrepreneurs don't realize is that almost all of these success stories, these overnight success stories, they're about 10 years in the making. And you know this because you've been through the challenge. You see the growth challenges, right?
Yeah, that's my book.
But I think some often is that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to have thick skin. I tell people all the time, if you put these two words together, persistence plus failure equals success.
Yes.
And I've been there, guys. I mean, I fail every week. I have things I tried that didn't work. Shit. Try it again. Try something else, right? So correct and continue was a concept I learned from a guy named T.R. Becker. And it was a book called The Secrets to the Millionaire Mind. And I think that's the thing that entrepreneurs have to realize, that if you study the great entrepreneurs, they all had good think tanks around them, and they all failed repeatedly.
And I think the third one that you just said, thick skin.
Thick skin. You got to have that. And I think, I was pretty fortunate that when I had my first paper out at 9 years old, and I remember this because I was like, I thought it'd be great to make some money. At 9 years old, you can make some extra money. And 3 weeks in, every Sunday morning delivering papers, 300 Chicago Sunday papers, which were big papers back then. I told my dad, I said, this is not for me. This is a horrible mistake. My dad would drive me around, but I still had to slug the papers. And my dad said something profound. He said, if you start something, you finish. And for years, I was running that paper out, and I had kids spend the night, and then I had a lawnmower business, and then I had a stereo business. And, I always remember that if you start something, you finish. And so for entrepreneurs, being able to finish means that you've made it over the line to deliver something great and be consistent with it and get paid for it. Mm-hmm. And that's the challenge that most entrepreneurs have, is that they have this thing called shiny object syndrome, and they start going left and going right, when just put the blinders on and stay in your lane of greatness. What are you great at? Does it serve a lot of people? Is there money in the space? And would you do it for free? And what I love about you is that your passion shines through. You not only love to watch people win, you love to create a space where your customers, they know that you care, and they know that you love them. They know that you're all in on their winning. And that's one of the things I see in you, is that you have a gift of empowering people just with your presence being in the space.
Well, thank you.
And it's fun to watch.
Because I learned early, I've never chased money.
Right.
It runs.
Yeah.
You don't get it.
No.
And I learned from people just like you when I was, I'm older now, but when I was young and had to go through that process because I invested in relationships, exactly what you just said. And obviously my audience who hears me every week knows
They know.
my book is, this is all I ever speak about is I make all my money from relationships, and you get it by giving value. You get it by doing the right thing. And as a byproduct, you get all the reward that you would ever have wanted.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come today, and you don't do transactions.
Well, that's some of the things I teach. I said, if you want to make some money, focus on transactions.
Mm-hmm.
You'll make money being a transactional person. You'll make money and you might do pretty well. But if you really want to become wealthy,
Yes.
it's not just the follow-up, it's the follow-through.
That's right.
Sometimes relationships take years to develop.
Ours.
Exactly. But I think so often what people do is they get lazy in the follow-through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's important. You meet somebody, take a photo. You meet somebody that you feel is someone you want to stay in touch with, follow up every month. Even if it's just a quick text or a quick message. And not about asking for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have found the real secret in building what I call rollover wealth is that you have to be the one that initiates over the long haul of how to create value first and expect nothing in return.
That's right.
And when people can feel you're coming from that, and you can disconnect from the outcome. When you can disconnect from the outcome of that relationship where you know that you're adding value, and if it works, it works. But if you don't follow through sometimes for at least 1 to 3 years, then it's your own fault.
Well,
you might miss some of the biggest deals of your life.
And if you're trying to level up, right, that's the challenge. You have to demonstrate that the person you want to level up to has to respect what you're going to do, see
right.
that stick-to-itiveness,
Yep.
and have faith, confidence that you are going to deliver at the level that they expect.
Yeah, and all that really comes down to is that you don't have to do anything more. It's like whatever you talk about, deliver that.
Yes.
I mean, I can recall back when I was my kids were 9, 7, and 2. I was 10 years in doing M&A and fixing companies, and I was burnt out. And I wrote this down: there has to be more. And I took a 2-week vacation, and the 2 weeks became 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And my family thought I lost my mind. They're like, "What are you doing?" I said, I wasn't super wealthy, but I was wealthy enough I never had to work again. Does that make sense? And so I knew there had to be more, and sure enough, that more showed up in the idea that why not create products to help small business owners?
Yeah.
And this is where it all started for me, is that I knew that if I could spend time with people and give them the reality, give them the real, right? And not what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. And sure enough, teamed up with a company called GoDaddy as a marketing partner. Another company called Franklin Covey.
That small little company, GoDaddy?
Yeah, but
if you guys haven't heard of it, check it out.
But back then it was a small little company, right? But we figured out that if we could give you a website and get you a business plan and give you a merchant processing system and get you organized. I was a huge fan of Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Books in my office.
Before you know it, we were in 20 countries in 20 months. Yeah. And my family thought, oh, you're going to help small business? That's so stupid. And then that launched into a business course called Rainmaker 20 years ago now, where we teach entrepreneurs in a 3-day MBA how to write your plan and write your grant and write your book and marketing funnels and sales funnels and power partnerships. And, but from that, we looked for deals. And the crazy thing is that we still charge like $5,000 for the whole year, and they get to go 4 times in cities around the world. But what I realized was that if you can spend quality time with people, and if you guys are listening, just write this down: only quality time with only quality people. And if you'll assess the last 7 days of your life and ask yourself, would I hire or fire myself based on the last 7 days?
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, it became a home run. And then masterminds and speaker programs, and we invested in an idea called the Small Business Expo. People thought we were nuts. Nobody goes to these expos. We became the main sponsor. Above Google and AT&T, we brought on Shark Tank and all these incredible sponsors. And once again, people said it was a dumb idea, but sometimes you've got to be crazy enough to go after your dumb ideas.
Yeah, and you have to have the ability to be world class at what you do. And that's where I see too much today. And that's what I'm really trying to challenge everybody out there, because they don't hold themselves accountable to the best. They settle for whatever they delivered, and they accept excuses. And it's just culture and society today. And it's a growing the wrong direction. And we need to all remember, control the controllables. Do the best you can do.
And then the other thing too is that you've got to be willing to hire great people.
Well, sure.
And people say, well, how do you find great people? I want you guys to write this down. You don't find them, you attract them.
That's right.
You become so good, you bring on the right people. And the thing that a lot of people are saying, well, I can just go find them. You can't.
You can't.
leadership is going to be identified and people are going to follow you because you inspire them, not motivate. I don't believe in motivation.
Me neither.
I believe if you motivate idiots, you got motivated idiots.
If you need to be motivated, it's not for you.
And they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to wind up in a vicious circle. But when you see people that are inspired,
yes,
people think you're nuts. You're not nuts.
Well, I don't believe in dreams.
Well,
that's for kids.
Yeah.
Because what a dream means, when you're a kid and you say, my dream is to do this, it's because you can't do it now for whatever reason because you're a child.
Yeah.
I believe in plans.
Yeah,
a plan you can accomplish. A dream is something like, I dream to go to space one day. Well, that's because I can't literally go to space.
Yeah, well, that goes back to, Jeff, I think you're right. It goes back to what's called the quality of your language will dictate the quality of your life.
Yes.
And your bank account and all your relationships.
Yes.
Because people tell me I want to do something, it means they're never going to do it. I really want to go to the program, but then go fill the form out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really want to start, then go start the business. And I think what happens is that so often people don't believe how good they can be. I teach that you belong in every room. We need more women speakers on stages around the world.
Yes, we do.
And if you got a story, don't take your story to your grave.
Yeah.
This is a great time to write your books and publish. I don't care if you sell one book. If you sell one book and you publish on Amazon, now you're an Amazon published author.
That's right.
You can call your mom and say, buy one book. And before you know it, what starts to happen is that your story might inspire one person, might inspire 1 million people.
Sure.
But if you never share that story, then shame on you. And this is, I think, what's happened today is that people jump into what's called the Me Too society, which means they really haven't earned that right. So if you're brand new, then say you're an innovator. Mm-hmm. Start as some, and in this
or play the story for a little bit and then write the book.
Yeah, well, this whole thing too is like fake it till you make it. I don't like that either. I like earn while you learn.
Yeah.
I tell people I've been broke and I've been wealthy. Broke sucks. But man, when you're broke, you'll find all your real friends come in. It's not when you're flying on private jets and yachts and parties and doing things at the president's house and all this stuff. That's not where it's at.
Sure.
It's when things aren't so good.
But I agree. The challenge is people without that thick skin, right?
Yeah.
They want to feel good. We're in a feel good now society, right? So if you don't feel good, you don't want to deal with it.
Right.
And so what it's done is it has clipped the wings of so many extremely talented individuals.
Right.
And we have thousands of employees across the entire companies, and I work with a bunch here, and I have the best team in the world. I'm standing here because I have the best team.
That's right.
And the best players, to your point, you don't go and like our president Trevor. He's amazing. I didn't hire Trevor.
Right.
He ate my food in Utah, reached out to me on LinkedIn to get coffee.
We
fell in love with each other.
See? Yeah.
And then it was like, we could use a president. And he's like, okay. Like Perfect. It was an organic, natural thing.
Wow.
He's not filling out a job application and waiting for a headhunter.
No.
That person is not who you want.
That's the reality of it, is that, if you got to ask yourself today, if you don't like where things are at, don't look outside, look in the mirror.
That's right.
Who are you attracting?
You're right.
And I'm a believer that, if you don't put yourself out there and put yourself in the right rooms, shame on you. And people say, well, Bill, how do I connect with the billionaires? Then go to charity events. Go to charity events at least every 3 months and every 2 months and every month and be the first one there. Don't go for the red carpet. Go there early and help set up chairs. Stay till the very end and help break down stuff because you need to be in the right rooms on a regular basis.
But you have to, I know this now, game recognizes game instantly.
100%.
So like when we're all hanging out, there's a cadence to how you do business, to how I do business, to how all these others do business. If you don't do it at that level, in an instant, you're exposed.
They know.
So when you go to those rooms, don't just show up and want a picture.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that don't just go there and show up and try to tell them all about yourself. They don't give a shit about you.
They don't.
I'm telling you right now, if you want to connect with billionaires and you start talking about yourself, they just tuned out. It's like if guys want to get a date, quit talking about yourself. Talk about them. Find out what they're working on. Find out what's important to them, and just be a good listener. Mm-hmm. And then be someone that delivers. Because you're going to find that people at a super high level, if you just deliver a little bit of what you talked about, and you ask for nothing in return, they're going to tell someone else. Mm-hmm. When we first started out, I didn't know Les Brown or Brian Tracy or Mark Victor Hansen or John Gray or John Astroff, but I knew if I could create ways to help them, they would tell somebody.
And if they could depend on you.
And they could depend on me.
You're the most dependable guy.
Thanks,
like
brother.
That's why, however many, 6 years ago, 7 years, whatever we met, there was no time for us to do business then.
Yeah.
But what I learned from us just being on the same stage, being at the same event, knowing the same people, being in the
100%.
same room, I know that if I do something with Bill, the quality and standard I can guarantee I know I'm getting.
Thank you.
And that level is why I think
that's why
we get attracted to you.
Consistency is a big thing, but I think also what people have to realize is that it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
So if you're an entrepreneur today and you're listening to this show,
Or anyone
that's listening to this show, is that don't think it happens overnight. And so, and if you're going through the grind right now, I was at the Indy 500, right? And I'm telling you right now, I felt so bad. The guy, he crashed his car before the race started. And I'm thinking, he waited all year for that one chance in the practice. He runs into the wall. It's like, oh my God. But next year, you know what? He'll come back stronger. Sure. And if you look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs, and in all sports as well, many of them were not drafted number one. They came up through the ranks and they paid the price. So if you're grinding today, keep paying the price.
Yes, but
keep your head down.
But grind to 100.
Yeah.
The problem is they're building reps at 60, 70% quality.
Right.
And that's becoming the standard for them. Well,
that's the challenge, too, is that you can't lower your standards. You've got to stay in the game at an A level, which means get up early, go to bed late. And I'm a believer that make one more call, send one more email, send one more text, do one more follow-up. Whatever someone that's going to compete with you is going to do, you got to go one step beyond that.
And the standard should be that if this one thing you're doing right now was going to be seen by the people that you needed to be seen, and it was going to make all the money in the rest of your life, are you happy with the quality of what you just delivered?
Yeah.
Because you never know.
You
never know what they're going to see about your work product. Right? I show up to do business with you. You know, we're about to do a huge deal tomorrow.
Huge deal.
By the way, finally, after all these years, very exciting.
It's okay.
But we've been working on this for 6-7 years without realizing we were. If I didn't make you comfortable and vice versa, we're not doing this deal tomorrow.
That's right.
Right.
And I think that's the reality for most people, is that, you know, they'll overlook, or they'll try to find that short-term gain versus that long-term win.
Yes.
And this is the thing too, is that if you're listening today, don't always focus on that short-term win. Be willing to play the long game in business. And part of that is that it doesn't always work out. You know, you might have relationships where you think, man, but I poured all this in, I got nothing from it. That's okay. It might open that one more door that becomes that home run.
But you didn't get nothing from it.
Right, but that's how they feel, right?
Yes.
A lot of times, you know, we live in a keep score economy. And if you are doing things and you're not scoring, you're like, man, I get frustrated. Well, here's the thing. If someone else has been very successful in a niche that you're in, if they can do it, you can do it better.
That's right.
But you've got to be willing to stay the long course.
Yes.
And I think for entrepreneurs, which means, you know, don't feed your mind with garbage TV. Feed your mind with good audios. Look up a guy named Jim Rohn. Look up, you know, all these different amazing people that are on these Audibles and on YouTube, and feed your mind every morning with 15 minutes of Jeff Fenster. Get plugged into all the shows that you publish, because you bring on rock stars onto this show that have good content because they've lived it. I don't believe you know something until you live it.
That's right. And the thing is, it's like I struggle with my youngest daughter. My oldest got it. It's you don't stop when you can say you did when it's done.
Yeah.
You stop when you say I can't do it any better, or you run out of time. Those are the two reasons you stop.
Right.
Because there will be a time constraint. You could have done it better, but I ran out of time. That's a real life. That's life.
Well, you know, they did ask Vince Lombardi that one time, and they said, you know, Coach, you lost the football game. He said, we didn't lose the game. He said, oh, yeah, it's on the scoreboard. You lost the game. He said, we didn't lose the game. He said, the clock just ran out of time.
That's right. Well, that's right.
True story.
And I mean, you can go look at all the best athletes, which is a great example, and they do the basics like it's their everything.
Yeah, I think it's their Bible.
It
you know, if you meet the most successful entrepreneurs, business owners, athletes, one thing you'll find all the time is that they're persistently consistent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
and they're also consistently persistent, which is a big part of it.
I'm an ordinary guy. I don't have any special talents and gifts that everyone else out there don't have. What I have
but you go the extra mile.
But the reason I do that is because that's how you win the game without having that excess talent.
I believe the same thing, too. I mean, I was born on the south side of Chicago. We had no money.
Yeah.
You know, when we went on vacation one summer, I didn't realize the reason we went on vacation because we had no home to go back to. That's a reality wake-up call.
That's a lot harder.
That's a reality wake-up call. But, you know, as kids, we didn't know. We didn't know there was no house. You know, we came back and realized, well, now we got a new house. Because we didn't have a house because we had to move out of the first house, right? So you don't know that as a kid. And I think that's the thing, too, is that, you know, as entrepreneurs, it's good that you hear the struggles.
Yes.
Because you see the outcomes, but you don't. It's called the glacier effect, right? You only see the 10%. You see the top 10%, but you don't see the 90% below that. You don't see what goes into that. Mm-hmm. And this was the trade-off I had to make, that the greatest thing I ever did was I realized my kids had to come first. And you can talk about all the great deals you've done, all the money you've made. I'm telling you today, there's nothing better in life than raising good kids.
Right.
You know, my son Austin now runs our SaaS company called Mobex Pro. My daughter's a PA in dermatology at the Dooley in the Northwestern Hospital Group in Chicago, and now she's a brand new mom. I'm a brand new grandfather, so pretty cool on that one, right? What a blessing that is. And my youngest son's a DJ. You know, so they're all so different, but of all the deals I've ever done, all the relationships, business deals, and you know, now we have TV networks we're involved with, and I sit on tons of public boards, and there's nothing.
Everbowl, baby, you're involved.
Everbowl,
Yeah,
I'm
come
ready,
on.
and I'm telling you, I'm excited about Everbowl.
WeBuild?
I can't wait to be a part of WeBuild and the whole Everbowl family, and you know, now we run franchise expos too that I sponsor every month, and we're going to start putting Everbowl there as well.
Yeah.
But I feel that of all the things I've ever done, there's nothing that comes close to raising good kids.
I absolutely agree with
I
you.
want to just say thanks to all the moms that are out there, you know, and the dads that have to, you know, that if a mom or dad play in both roles, I get it. But I really do believe in what makes America great is good people, you know, and good small business. Small business and franchising makes America great. Make no mistake about it.
And I'm glad you said that, because I have a rule at this point in my life that I won't do business with assholes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways you can quickly identify it. And I'm going to offend some people that are my friends by saying this, but they deserve to hear it because I care about them. When I go to someone who's extremely successful, their social media, and they follow 2 people.
Right.
You're an asshole.
Right.
Don't you want to see somebody's kids?
Yeah.
I know you're big shot. I don't care if you're, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You don't have to follow everybody.
Right.
But you have only 2 people you genuinely want to see.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a fake account or a different account, that's
right.
fine.
And I think social media, and I'll give you my take on social media today.
Hold on, let me say one more thing, and then I want your take.
Yep.
But then you look at what they say in their bio.
Right.
And I have first on all mine, girl dad, because that is my most proud thing I do.
It's blessings, man.
When I don't see anything about the person and it's just about, I made $10 million.
Right.
That's cool. All of the success, we've all made tons of money.
Right.
Not all, but I'm saying a lot of us have made tons of money. That doesn't make you cool.
No.
Who are you?
My friend has a PR agency. He says he makes the rich people famous and the famous people rich. That's his whole PR spin. And Vito Glazer is my good friend. But I also think that social media today is don't be that happy.
But that's your resume at this
Right,
point.
but
That's your baseball card.
It is. But social media today, if you're really happy, I'll give you an example. If you said, hey, Bill and Jeff are launching a new book. Come check us out tomorrow in Times Square. You got to come to the book launch. Crickets.
Sure.
But if we said, come tomorrow, we're going to light ourselves on fire.
People
oh, my
do
God, they'd be out there in a minute. So on social media, my tip is don't always be so happy. Let people know you're grinding.
Mm-hmm.
Let people know you're working to become better, because that's the reality of being an entrepreneur.
But that's the content side. I'm talking
Right.
about what you present to the world about yourself.
100%.
When someone says, who are you? And all you talk about is money.
Right. You're
showing planes and cars and homes.
It's an instant disconnect.
You're not going to get to the level that you want to get to. Like I want to go take a piece of content on a private plane that I'm not going to fly in because I want to show that why?
Well, now they have
What
sets.
are you attracting?
You know, they have sets now.
I
You can go to the studio, and the studio's a private jet.
But what are you attracting? What is the there's your problem. You're building the reps to something that's not going to get you the win.
Right. I think that there's a belief out there that and I do understand that sometimes for some people it's kind of like in someone else's face because they've been dissed so long. Well, you know, Jeff, you're never going to make it. You're never going to have success. You don't deserve this. You don't deserve that. Well, wait a second. I just spent $100 million on this new yacht.
Sure.
And you know, I think sometimes people on social media are lashing back with some of their success. And I think sometimes without saying a word, this is what I believe is that when it comes to real, true success, you don't got to say anything.
That's right.
People are going to see it. They're going to see it. They're going to be present to it. They're going to see the company you keep.
Well, I guess
they're going to see the lives that you change.
But that's my point. What is success? I guess that's where I guess the undertone is, to me, success isn't money. So if I have to show my money to prove to you I'm successful, then I'm not even happy.
Right.
That's what's consuming my brain.
That's the big challenge is that a lot of these people with a lot of money, they're not happy.
Well, that's true.
They're absolute miserable SOBs. And I have friends that are billionaires, right?
Well, the reason is because they didn't develop, they got money, but they didn't get anything else.
And they never invested in those, I mean, I can't wait to go to see Drake in London with my kids, right? You know, when my kids were about 15 years old, my oldest, and they were going to this thing called Lollapalooza. I didn't know I didn't know who Drake was or Lil Wayne or Cardi B or Offset. I didn't know Migos, none of these people, right? But I made the decision that I was not going to miss one of these shows. Number one, I was concerned about my kids going there. But number two, it became a great time for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, now 16 years later, we go to Rolling Loud all over the world. We go to concerts on a regular basis. We don't miss Lollapalooza. And to me, another great tip, and I'm not a life coach at all or a relationship coach, but I will tell you, do things with your kids even if you don't like to do them.
Sure.
And you're going to learn a lot about yourself, but they'll be so thankful later on down the road that you took the time for that. Because when you take the time to do things that they love to do, and they know that you might not like it at all, it doesn't matter, you're going to learn all about yourself. But
also,
10 and 15 years later, they're going to be so thankful that you took the time to go do it with them.
Well, and if you justify to yourself that you don't have time because you're busy in your business, let me help you. That rep of doing it that you don't want to do is the same thing of leading with value to build the relationship capital.
That's right.
In business. If you don't have a good relationship with your children, you're not going to have good relationships with the people in business that you think you will.
You can learn a lot about people by just seeing how their relationship is with their kids.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you meet their kids, and a lot of times there could be good and bad with that, right? Because I know some super wealthy families where there was some black sheep kids in the family, and they were bad seeds. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot that I also, when I would hire people, I would always watch how they would treat people. So when I would hire people, we'd go play golf, and I'd say, I'll meet you at the first hole. And I'd already be on the first hole, and they would then pull up with their car, and someone would take their bags, and someone would take their shoes, someone would give them a locker, and someone would get their coffee, and someone would put them in the cart, and they'd drive them up to me. And by the time they got to the first hole, the interview was over.
Yep.
Either the guy was a jerk to all the people that he met first, and he'd be like, I'm ready for golf, the interview. I'm like, no, man, the interview's over. You're never going to work here, ever. You know, and because however they treat someone that can do nothing for them is how they're going to treat your staff and your team and your customers later.
And those are the skills, the attributes that people trying to win don't learn. They don't see it because it's not being. It's like health. It's so easy, it's complicated.
Right.
It's so simple, it's complicated.
Yeah. It's
right there in front of you, and you go, no, it's got to be harder than this, but it's not.
Well, I think health in America, and I was very fortunate to. I was a partner in some big conferences, and we had a chance to host Bobby Kennedy. We became good friends. You know, and here's a guy that cares about the health of our country and the health of our kids. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't need to do this. People don't realize he never needs to work ever in his whole life. He's done.
His last name's Kennedy.
Right? Not only that, but they have family trust and wealth.
His last name's Kennedy.
It's Kennedy, right? It doesn't hurt, but he really does care. And when you start to spend time with some of the folks in the administration, that this is a great time to be an entrepreneur, everybody. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. We're all American first. And I'm telling you today that franchising is the future. It's a proven model. It works. But you got to put the work into it. And don't just buy one, buy five, right? You want to think like not the quarterback or the coach of the team. Think like the guy that owns a stadium, and be willing to roll your shirt sleeves up and put the work into it.
Yeah.
And that's why I think so often is that if you will just put the work in, and there's nothing wrong with side hustles either. I never tell someone go quit your job and start your side hustle, but I believe everybody should have a side hustle because the price of things is not going to go down. It's only going up. And so you've got to figure out ways to be very creative in creating new forms of income. And this, I think this where today is at is that I don't know how people live in Southern California or Northern California and not have to be splitting rooms and renting stuff because the cost of living is so high. And I don't think it's going down.
But I'm going to challenge that for a second. I don't like the word side hustle. I like the idea of multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
I don't think people should have side hustles because then you're doing two things probably not as good as you could do the one thing. So I would say you should be doing the one thing until you've got it to a point that you want, and then you should do another thing simultaneously and keep building streams of income and keep building. Like I have 5 companies. Well, I put all of myself into company 1,
I'm thinking
then
more,
company 2, then 3.
And that's awesome. And I said on multiple public boards, I still run one main business.
Sure. Well, you
have
do like
lots
25 things.
Exactly. Tons of interest in different companies. But I'm talking about the person that maybe is doing they got a job, but they're maybe still doing Uber on the weekends.
Okay.
Or they're maybe waiting tables.
I thought you were talking about something.
I have nothing wrong with someone that says, I'm going to work Uber Saturdays and Sundays because it helps pay this bill or pay that bill. And you're going to find that same person's the guy that I would hire in a minute.
Well, by the way, Uber's a great place to meet people.
Great. Well, they'll put the work into it.
Well, and look, let me give you a special tip. Upgrade the car. The investment's worth it. Yeah. It's only a few $100s more a month.
Right.
And make sure that you're driving the highest level VIP service, and you're going to get the people you want to meet in your car, and you have a captive audience for however the hell far they want to drive.
Always go Uber XL.
Yeah.
If you'll buy like a Honda Odyssey, and I have some friends that they got this Uber hack down, man, and they're making a lot of money. I mean, one worked in the Air Force, and He was making more money on the side than it was from his regular gig.
And if you can't afford the car, watch this. Do one of those Turos for the weekend to use the car to then do the Uber.
That's right.
Right?
But see, that's what I love about you, Jeff, is you're a true blood entrepreneur, man.
Well.
And I think that's if you're watching this show, just follow this guy around for a week. Follow Jeff around for a week and go to some of the events and go see the way that he invests in the relationships. And that's what I do. Is I've been a big believer that as you get older, I would highly recommend you start to listen with your eyes. No more just listening what they say, just watch what they do. Mm-hmm. And if you'll watch what people do, they'll almost always give you the reality dose quickly. And then it is just tune into those that are consistent. Tune into those that follow up. Tune into those that serve others. And you're going to start to realize the greatest commodity in your life, in everyone's life, that you can never replenish is time.
That's true.
And so begin to think about, who do you spend your time with? Who do you allow into your inner circle? And I can tell you that some of the guys that I work with play at a super high level in business, politics, relationships, and they are very, very careful of who they allow in their inner circle and the time they spend with them. And the minute you get to that point, you'll start to realize that, I know this sounds crazy, but I believe that less is more, which means spend more time with less people.
Yes.
And before you know it, you'll start to see results in your life you could never imagine.
And hold yourself to a standard of always getting better.
Yeah, I think it was a long time ago. Maybe it was Gary Player or somebody said that you shoot for perfection, but you settle for excellence.
Yeah.
And that's what I see in you.
Whoa.
I see this in you every day because I watched your business. I've watched you, and I've watched as you've grown, and I've watched that everything you do, you shoot for perfection and you settle for excellence.
Yes.
And even when I met
use the
your
word
team,
remarkable.
Yeah,
that's our core value.
remarkable,
We say perfect's not obtainable,
right.
but you hit perfect on the way as you strive for remarkability.
That's right. That's right.
And remarkability is, did I give 100% of the best I can do in whatever I'm doing?
Yeah.
Because that's all I can do.
That's all you can do.
Even if I suck at podcast hosting, if I give you my best today, I was remarkable.
Yeah.
And if I do that every day, 5 years from now, I'm going to be better.
You're going to be better. And that's when I train so many speakers. If you're listening today and want to speak on stage around the world, we book 500 speakers a year.
I mean, you put me on stages all the time.
All the time, and I love it. And I'll
appreciate it, by the way.
book you on more stages.
I appreciate that, by the way.
I think the thing is that most people are afraid, but I'll tell you that your 100 talk is better than your first talk.
That's right.
And if you've got a product or service, this is a great time to get on stage. Learn how to sell from stage. And I think that, once again, do not let someone, and Les Brown said this, he said, don't let someone's perception become your reality. Mm-hmm. Because people do that. They listen to broke, negative, energy-sucking vampires.
Or they listen to people who fluff them up with nonsense.
Right, yeah, they don't need more.
That is the most dangerous thing that anyone can do.
That's like saying, man, you look really good. Let me put you on the front line of the military.
Yeah.
Are you trained? No, not trained at all. You're going to die.
And I love you so much. You're doing so great. You're doing so good. You should just take it easy.
Right, no,
why would I want to kill my momentum?
That's not in the vocabulary.
Why would I want to kill my momentum?
Right. But I think, once again, you're going to find that people doing better than you always want to empower you.
Yes.
People doing worse than you, sometimes they want to hold you back.
And it takes, what do they say? They say wisdom is wasted on the old and youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah.
Right? Because the problem is, when I was young and the people who truly loved me but gave me the words I didn't want to hear.
Right.
And challenged everything I was doing and told me it wasn't good enough because they knew I could do better.
Right.
It didn't feel good. And my most thankful thing about it was I didn't turn it off.
But I think
I didn't run from that.
Well, that's what happens, is that we allow people that have never achieved anything in life to feed our minds. Yeah. And this is why I would say this today, is that turn off all the negative news.
Well, I think the other problem is we also listen to people who have achieved. But what my biggest problem in today's world is, all these successful, not all, a lot of successful people are giving people the first 50%. But they don't finish the damn sentence.
Right.
This is what you need to do, and they give you the first half of the recipe. And we all have this. So all these people are running to do what they're told. Oh, I'm going to do this thing, but there's no end recipe about. So they don't know how to finish the game.
Right.
So you have all these people who get super excited and motivated to start.
Right.
They go heavy, heavy, heavy. Yeah. They burn bridges to get there, and then they don't achieve it.
That's the tougher part, is that if you're going to do something, I believe when it comes to success, and I mean real success, you always pay full price and you always pay in advance. And man, you can just bank on that. You can just take that to the bank. Mm-hmm. And I share this because I know that, well, you make it look so easy. Well, you're on stage with sometimes 20,000 people. Yeah, but that's the 500 or 5,000 presentations before that made that one look easy.
That's right.
And that's the thing that, people don't want to hear that. This kid, I think he approached Jack Nicklaus when he said, I want to play golf like you. And Jack said, nah, you don't. He said, no, I want to be a pro just like you. He said, nah, you don't want to do this. And he said, no, I really do. He said, okay, great. We're going to hit 500 balls in the morning. We're going to play 36 holes, hit another 500 balls in a day. We're going to do that 6 days a week. Are you in, yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that.
Right. Well, who is it? Tony Robbins, I think, was just talking about Steph Curry. And they're like,
yeah,
he's the greatest shooter ever. He has done 500 to 1,000 shots every single day.
Every day.
Since he was 10 years old.
That's right.
So 20 million shots for the 800 you're going to watch him do this year.
That's right.
You think that he's just got some magic gift. He might have natural aptitude.
100%.
Obviously, I could do the same thing and probably not be as good as him.
Right.
But he didn't get there except for the fact that tomorrow, whether he feels like it or not,
doesn't matter.
As a millionaire, successful, top of his game, Hall of Famer, he's going to go shoot 500 to 1,000 shots.
But I think that's the key that people need to hear. I think what's missing today in the entrepreneur world as a business coach and a business strategist, there's too much fluff out there.
Yeah.
And there's this stuff, get rich quick, you guys, it means get broke faster. Just take this to the bank. Get rich quick means get broke faster. How about just get rich?
Well, let me ask you.
Get rich can be health and life and business.
But it can be framed differently, right? Like
100%.
In my head, it's like this. So I started Everbowl as a passion project, sold companies, right? So I didn't need the money. Right. I didn't take any money. I invested all my time into this thing. And my wife would say to me, you're working so hard for no money. Like, you don't need it. Why? Because I'm passionate, right?
Right.
But if I told you today, I'm going to pay you $1 a day, but on the 7th year, day one, I'm going to pay you $25 million, would you accept it? And I think everybody would say yes. If it was in a contract and it was guaranteed.
It's a contract for sure.
Right? If you're broke right now and you're young, 7 years from today, you're going to have $25 million.
Deal.
I'm going to pay you $1 a day till that day.
Deal.
But instead, you have to stay the course.
Yeah.
The problem is, they go and say, well, I'm going to make $10 today or $50 today or $500 today, and I'm going to screw that. Screw that. And they never get to the $25 million.
That's true.
Right? Because they're not sticking with the whole process.
Well, I think it's easy to quit, though.
Well, of course it's easy to quit.
That's the thing for most people is that if you look at true success is that the ones that have had true success have really weathered the storm. People think Jeff Bezos had it easy.
He did not.
For 14 years, they lost money. All he wanted to do is sell books. Now what does he sell? He sells you everything. Mm-hmm. What they were building was a community. Mm-hmm. If you're serious about business today, just write these 2 words down: active community.
And also, be excited that it's hard.
Yeah, that's
who hikes Mount Everest because it was flat.
Maybe we should spend more time on telling people that, when you're in the grind, enjoy it.
But you should.
You should, because that's part of the game.
But when you think about what you do in your personal life, hike Mount Everest, run a marathon, do a Tough Mudder, like whatever you do physically, you choose those things because it's hard. You're not like, I'm going to go to the mall and move on a moving sidewalk for the next 10 minutes, and I'm going to feel good about it, post it on social media, because it's easy.
Yeah.
So if the 1% that you were trying to get to was easy, it'd be the average, right? Because the average moves. Yeah. The 4-minute mile couldn't be done. Then it was done. Did it. And now it's not. It's impressive to people who don't run, but to runners, it's not impressive anymore. Yeah, so you're one of the 20 million people who can do that? Cool.
Right.
How about a 3-minute mile?
Yeah.
So why not say to yourself, I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to suck.
But I think that's...
And I'm going to enjoy it.
But that's where the coaches have to come in.
Yes.
The coaches really have to change a bit of their language to let people know that these are markers along the way that are reality. It's almost like if you've ever been a boater, right? So I went to Coast Guard school.
I didn't know that.
I didn't go to Coast Guard. I went to the school just because I bought a boat in the Florida Keys, and I figured out that these are the best guys. Mm-hmm. And if you don't learn how to read the charts, you're going to have a big problem down there. And so I would tell you the same thing here. And there's no fluff there. They give it to you black and white.
Sure.
And I know that sometimes coaches need to be a little tougher with the people they work with, and at least give them the honest, good and bad. It's like if you're not going to put this time into it, then don't expect these outcomes.
Yes. And
versus the fluff. And I think some coaches do that. And I tell people all the time, you want a nice coach, I'm not the guy. If you want someone to kick your ass and give you the straight truth and honest of what it's going to take to win, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
And that's where what I find is that the entrepreneurs I love to work with are the ones that they'll work through the grit. They'll put the time in advance. And especially like you said, I'm getting $1 a day. When you're starting as an entrepreneur, you're making nothing.
Yes.
You're grinding and you're not getting the results. But to me, like you said, if you can find some joy, find some passion in the grit, Then all of a sudden, when you start to get the wins, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, like, when things are not good, it's like you feel like the world is on your shoulders. But when things start to hit, they really start to hit.
Oh, yeah.
You'll wake up and have better days than months, better days than quarters.
It's Forrest Gump in the shrimp boat.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
Or it's the name me any movie where the hero doesn't have some adversity at some point,
Correct.
him or her, right?
Yeah.
The adversity part, the grind, the grit, that allows you to build the person that you need to be to get to the point that you want to get to.
100%. And what a great coach can see that person that, and I can see this, and I can pull it out of people.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
What I'm really good at is asking them the questions that someone else is not going to ask them because I've seen the play enough times.
Yes.
And I can see their true potential. And then the fun part is once they step into it, like, oh my God, why didn't I see this 5 years ago? Because sometimes it takes one. They interviewed, I want to say, 3,000 of the top CEOs in the world. And of every trait that had to do with success, they only had one trait in common.
Imposter syndrome?
Crazy. The one trait that they had was that they had one parent or one guardian that believed in them.
Oh.
One person believed in them. And sometimes I think that's what we need, is that we need that person that'll be brutally honest with you, but come from a place of love and service.
I love you said that, because I tell everyone on my team, they're like, well, I could tell it, they're hesitant. I'm like, listen, you can tell me that I am the worst CEO,
Right.
the worst founder, bad at my job, as long as you're coming with the best intention of the company first.
That's right.
And my best interest, or not my interest, but the company's interest. It's like people can argue about politics. If you both believe it's in the best interest of the country, I can disagree and respect you.
100%.
My wife and me can disagree on how to raise or do parent our kid in a moment.
Yep.
But we both love our kid the same. We're the best
100%.
interest. So we may argue about it because we disagree on what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to be mad.
But that's how you get better.
And that's what people need to realize.
The reality
if someone's
is-
feeding you words you don't want to hear, telling you could do better, telling you this isn't good enough, but they don't really care or they're not vested in the outcome with you, then, then they might be just being mean.
That's right. And sometimes what I think most people go through is that they hear that they're not good enough times, and they start to believe it.
They hear they're not good enough.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
tough.
think about it as a kid, right? As a kid, what did you hear?
Yeah, well,
I heard money doesn't grow on trees.
sure.
You'd think there's a freaking money tree in the backyard?
Sure.
But if you ask the kids in Colorado, they'd say there's a money tree in the backyard. Maybe it's weed-like, right? But they've gotten paid. But I think as kids, they're told.
There's also acai trees in Brazil that are
That's
money
right.
trees.
Let's go. Acai's right here. And I'll tell you what, too. Once you go there, just so you guys know, you'll be addicted.
That's right. There's no nicotine
I've
in it
taken
either.
some friends there to Everbowl. They're addicted. And it's nice to see there's more stores opening in Vegas now.
Yes.
And it's very exciting. It's fun to watch what you're doing to help a lot of people. But it's also neat the way you've expanded through college towns.
Sure.
It's neat the way, and this is a big thing that, please, everyone, study innovation. Don't make AI your enemy. Make it your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Begin to study this. And I can tell you guys, I go to courses every month. Every month, I force myself to sit in classes. So whether it's a sales training at Mar-a-Lago or a CPAC conference or a class at MIT or Harvard, I never stop investing in my learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with your teams. Make your teams learn with you. Find courses. I go to the Apple Store sometimes. I would just go to the Apple Store and say, could you help me with this one thing? They used to have classes there in Chicago. So I'd go to the Apple Store and bring my phone and learn, because people don't realize that nobody that I've ever met can tell you even 10% of what that phone can actually do.
True.
But if you'll continue to invest in your mind in all different areas, you're going to find that I love that part of the grind.
So we do here at our headquarters, we do these Saturday lunch and learns that are voluntary. So I invite the team.
Cool.
And those who show up.
Right.
And it's not about Everbowl.
Right.
It's just about, we did one on AI.
Which
We
is
did
so
one on relationships.
Yes.
Relationship capital. We did one on vertical integration. We did one
Yes.
on entrepreneurship. We did one on technology.
I love it.
And it's fascinating to see that the team members that are, you could tell the best rock stars we have are the ones who show
Are the
up,
ones that always show up.
because they're always improving.
But this is something as entrepreneurs that when you have a choice between going to the party or going to the class, you've got to take some time to go to the class.
Yes.
When I would take my kids to basketball camps, I would bring things to read and watch and learn, but I'd sit in the bleachers the whole 4 days. I was not going to miss the camp at North Carolina or Notre Dame. I realized that the greatest time I could spend with my kids, but I could also be learning while I'm there.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, it made me a better person. And I think it's important, too, that, guys, I've had tons of failures. I have failures every week. It's
Every
like,
day.
shit, that didn't work, right? So correct and continue, right?
But you're not
And
defined by those. That's the
What's that?
difference. You don't define yourself by those.
Not
And
at
Too
all.
many people do,
Yeah, they do.
and they shouldn't.
Well, I think what happens is some people are really hard on themselves, and sometimes it's overbearing on themselves because they're not sure because they haven't had the results yet. It's really hard to see yourself as a winner of the Indy 500 until you've won the Indy 500. Once you've won it, you're like, I can do it again.
Yeah, but if you don't already see yourself before, you're never going to win it. That's the challenge.
Yeah, well, they see themselves, but a lot of times when they get beat, then all of a sudden that's what sets in.
I know.
And so to overcome that, it's always small victories.
Well, that's why
the greatest success stories in life and business are always built around those small victories. And guys, I want you to understand this. Victory could be you woke up this morning. I remember my son was teaching at a Rainmaker class one time, right? And this was a few years ago. And this lady stood up and she said, you know, Austin, should I fake it till I make it? And he said, and he took a moment, and this is important, everybody, he said, nothing wrong with breathing for a second, right? He took a moment, he said, do me a favor. He said, would you just look around the room? To the lady. And I realized that she starts looking around the room. He says, do you realize you made it? Did you know that 98% of the population in this world would trade place with you in a second? Mm-hmm. So now just put your head down and go to work. You're in the right room with the right people. There's lots of potential. We're in the greatest country in the world. I've traveled to 50-plus countries. There's nothing like the USA. There's nothing out there that gives you this kind of an opportunity. So don't take any of this for granted.
Yeah.
Be willing to know what you know and work on yourself every day and get around people that are doing things you love to do. That's a Rainmaker.
And I will, it's amazing how
fast
time flies. But I will say that, I've said this on many episodes that all of the best in every single niche vertical has a coach.
Yeah.
Because LeBron James has a coach.
Multiple coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Because coaches are not meant there to teach you the basics.
I think he spends $1 million a year on his health coaching alone.
But this is the mistake, because we as kids get coaches to teach us the craft.
Right.
Once you're playing the game, the coach isn't there to teach you the craft. The coach is there to hold you accountable and make sure that you see the 1% angle shift that you have to do.
That's right.
Because you're in it and they're looking at it from a different view.
That's right.
And if you don't invest in that, and I have a litany of mentors, advisors, coaches. I mean, you've been a mentor, advisor,
yes,
and
you.
to me, and I mean, I have business conversations with you for 5-6 years,
yeah.
right? Because your acumen is what I want.
Thank you.
Right? And so what makes you special, though, and guys, I've had lots of people on the show who do coaching. When I'm not kidding you, Bill's the coach to billionaires. Bill's the coach to multimillionaires and successful people. So he is being sought after by the people who don't need money, right? They just want to continue to develop and grow. And that is why it's so powerful.
So often, they want the absolute truth.
That's what everyone
They want
needs.
Nothing sugarcoated. The most successful entrepreneurs, if you'll try to sugarcoat, you're never going to make it as their coach.
Yeah.
But if you're brutally honest in a way that it comes from that love and care and respect, it's a big thing, come from respect, that you've done your homework before you give any type of sage advice.
Well, and successful, what I have learned as well, and I've held myself accountable to this, I don't care about my results last year.
Right.
What am I doing now to get better? Because
yeah,
every day, it's like the college guy who gets or girl who gets drafted to the pros. I made it. No, you just started.
You're just starting.
Every single person in the pros was a college superstar.
100%.
And if you don't bring it, you're going to get eaten alive.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it. The competition will eat you alive.
Yes, and as you grow, as your company grows, as you grow, you compete with more talent and the people who have made it. Like everybody, we just hit 100 stores. We're national.
Congratulations on it, by the way. It was kind of cool to make a little video for you.
Yes, thank you, by the way.
I'm looking forward to 1,000 store.
I am too.
There's no doubt it's going to happen.
And
your product is great, and your company is great, and people love it too.
But I will tell you, I'm trying to hold my team accountable because yes, we have to celebrate the moment.
Yeah.
But guess what? Now we're competing with the biggest.
That's right.
We're competing with the biggest, the companies with the most resources.
Yes.
And we're playing on a real stage. It's the pros.
Yes, you are. Well, because once you step into that, now you're recognized.
That's right.
And once you're recognized, you're on the marker board.
And we can't do what got us. We can't be the team and do the same things that we did to get here.
Right.
We have to now improve that.
But this is also for the coaches listening today, that as a coach, do your homework. As a coach, never stop learning. As a coach, never give in. And hold your ground because you know your space. I think many clients that I've worked with over the years, they come to me over and over and over because they know what I'm going to give them is going to be from the heart, but it's going to be the homework's done.
That's right.
Does that make sense? And when these doors are open, whether it's meeting with prime ministers, we have prime ministers that speak at our masterminds, right? We have heads of state that'll come in and say, how can you help my country?
Sure.
And so I'm preparing our members to be prepared to have that conversation. And this is the difference is that the only difference between the billionaire and the startup guy, it's a different chip.
Mm-hmm.
But they love the game the same. I mean, I have a client that, big exit, right? Doesn't matter. He's buying more real estate because he just loves the game.
Yeah.
And so fall in love with the game,
Sure.
and I think that's why what makes you so successful is you love the game of watching other people win,
I do.
and coming from a place of building something great. And that those are really great skill sets for founders and CEOs that are way beyond the transaction. They fall in love with building a culture.
And look, those closest to me, they know, and I always tell them,
They know.
I'm not the easiest person because I'm going to challenge you to be better.
Right.
If you can be better, because I love you. I want you to be better.
And I think people can feel that from you. So
And look, it bothers some.
I know
it's good for
we got
some.
to finish, but I really congratulate you on the success you've had.
Well, thank you.
And the success you're going to have.
Sure.
I really do believe that you're just scratching the surface to your potential. And it's fun to watch it happen.
Well, thank you, Bill.
It's fun to be a part of watching true leaders that care with a big heart knock it out of the park.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Love you, brother.
But listen, I gotta say before we have rapid fire and before we wrap up, the thing that you also do is you give so much first. And you made an offer, and I don't want my audience to miss out on it, to me, which is that you were willing to do something for them.
Yes.
And I would love for you to.
So one of the things we always love to do is give away a book, a newsletter, and tickets to one of our upcoming what are called UWC conferences. And many times we're very fortunate that Jeff speaks at those conferences. So today, if you'd like a copy of my book, it's called The Obvious. Maybe you've seen the movie called The Secret or a book called The Obvious. You get our newsletter and you get a ticket to an upcoming conference. All you have to do is text the word success. It's really simple. Text the word success to 26786. Take out your phone, text the word success to 26786. You'll get all those gifts just for plugging in.
Now, I got good news and bad news. The good news is you can get all that by doing that text. Here's the bad news. Because you just heard that, you can never say, I didn't get that opportunity in that break.
That's right.
Because you just heard it. If you text that and you get access to that information, exposure leads to expansion, and you could be on the path to the success you want. Not knowing the recipe, not knowing the formula is the hardest thing, and Bill can give it to you. I've learned from Bill over the years. I assure you, this is the guy you need in your corner.
Thank you.
I don't say that to everybody, as you guys know, but if I had to put 5 people on a list of people that I want in my corner, you are absolutely one of them. And so,
I'm
guys,
glad to be in your corner, but I'm glad to go in the entrepreneur fight with you all the way through.
Absolutely.
So let's go from 100 to 1,000. You heard it here today.
100%. Now, you ready for some rapid fire?
I'm ready. Let's
Okay,
go.
you're going to stare into camera one?
Let's go.
30-second answers.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. What's one habit every entrepreneur should do every day?
Wake up every day with gratitude. Thank God for the gifts in your life. Don't worry about asking for anything. Just thank God for all the gifts in your life. If you come from gratitude, everything else shows up.
What's the biggest mistake you see entrepreneurs make in their first year?
Skip the flashy cars, skip the fancy watches. Listen, there's nothing wrong with grinding every day. The mistake is invest in yourself, invest in your people, invest in your business. Don't invest in the watch, the car, or anything that is not going towards the bottom line and top line of your company.
If you had to start over and lost it all, what's the first thing you'd do?
First thing I would do is I would go find the biggest charity events in my city and the country, and I'd go there and I would be the one that serves. I'd literally make that phone call today to say, I'll come set up chairs, because I'm telling you today, the secret to success is being in the right rooms with the right people, and they're almost all at charity events.
Last question. If you had to offer one book that changed your life, what was it?
Easy, Think and Grow Rich. But I would also tell you, Outwitting the Devil is also very powerful.
Yes.
So Think and Grow Rich is Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil is Napoleon Hill with Sharon Lecter. Those two books together, absolute game changer for any entrepreneur.
I agree, and I'll add one more. Shark Never Sleeps, Drew Rosenhaus.
That's right.
But I
Let's
will
go.
also, fun fact, you know that when I was 14, 15 years old, David Meltzer was part of this company called, oh my God, I'm not blanking on the name.
Well, I know
It's on the
he's,
tip of my tongue.
I know.
Anyway, he brought roundtables of CEOs and CFOs and COOs into corporate connections.
There you
And
go.
we would go to these really cool resorts, and I went there to serve coffee, and I was a runner.
See?
I met more people that I did business with my first 5 years of business
Right.
in that room, that when Dave reintroduced me years later, I had that.
Game changer.
Oh, I met you at Corporate Connections. I
That's
was the guy
right.
that brought you coffee.
See what I'm saying?
And instantly they go, stick-to-itiveness? You've been
Right.
around? Oh, I met you before. So instantly it's a different, and it was
Instantly.
in that exact thing.
But you came from a place of service.
Yes, I had nothing
See,
else.
when I go to charity events, even though I'll buy tables, I'll sponsor the event, I still go there and I'll set up chairs. I'll still go there and I'll stay to the very end, and I'll bid on things and buy things, and I always bring a tribe. And I never talk about me. I talk about all the people I bring with. Let me introduce you to Jeff. Jeff, you got to come over and meet Jeff. And the more you introduce other people, I will tell you this, the more you shine the spotlight on other people, the light will shine so bright on you.
That's right.
It works.
Right. Rising tide lifts all boats. Well, there
Love
you
you,
guys
brother.
have it.
It's been great.
Dude, I love it too, Bill. Take advantage. Once again, what was the number to text?
Just text the word success to the number 26786.
And I'm serious. Please do that right now for your own success. Worst case, you get it and you don't use it. That's the biggest risk you have by doing that. It costs you nothing. So take action.
Let's go. Love you, brother.
Love you
Thanks,
too.
man. Appreciate you, Edmund.
Hey everyone, first I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And if you guys haven't heard about my new book, Relationship Bank Account, click the link in the show notes or search the title on Amazon. This book is packed with all my secrets to success in both relationships and life. Make sure to pick up a copy, and if the book helps you on your journey, let us know by leaving a review. I appreciate all of you and can't wait to see you on the next one.